So, purpose of the call really was so I can get a full handle on like all the products and how to use them in training and racing.
Yeah.
Because I've got all the products now and I've started using them. Obviously, I've been using some of them for the past 2 years, and I've only just started with like the entire range.
Yeah.
So it's for me to get a feel, like a bit more knowledge on how everything works in racing and what I
Yeah.
should be doing in training. But
Yeah.
also, I'm going to get like thousands of questions from other people on the exact same stuff.
Yeah.
And I figured if I'm going to be trying to answer in those questions, it's better if they just hear it from the horse's mouth, and we can record this and
Yeah.
everyone can sort of have a listen at their leisure and see if they
Yeah.
can learn as much as I do from the call.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, why don't we just start at the start? So if I kind of quickly run over the kind of products, then we can kind of then look at applying them to possibly how you'd use them in different training scenarios, and then we can look specifically at the multi-day race.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we
fire away.
start.
So listing the
Yeah.
products would be a good start.
Yeah, so we start with we've got a kind of a sequence of kind of a system that kind of can start or finish with a product that we call night fuel. Now, night fuel is essentially can be made into like a cold shake or a hot chocolate, but it's not just a kind of drink. If you imagine it's like a liquid food in a sense, because in there you've got your carbohydrate mix, you've got your protein mix, but it's a slow release protein mix, and then you've also got sodium in there as well. So basically, what we're doing is that while you're sleeping, we are slowly replenishing and feeding the muscles, because often when you race or train, it can be in the early hours or early starts. So you haven't got time to have a big breakfast. You don't want a big breakfast because you don't want a lot in your stomach. So that's kind of feeding your system. So when you wake up, even if you've got a very limited amount of time or no time at all to have something to eat first, you've at least got something in your system and you've actually been looking after your muscles. So
Yeah, I
that's what
mean,
you start with.
yeah, that's like great because also like for me, especially the night before, I want to try and eat as much as possible, but that's not always possible. So
Yeah,
it's really hard when you travel and race to actually get enough in you the night before the race. So being able to top yourself up with something like that, be
definitely.
pretty handy.
Yeah, and especially because there's kind of like it's difficult depending on the country you're in or the time you arrive. Like you've said, it's you can find food, but sometimes it's not necessarily the kind of stuff that you want to be stuffing your face with late at night when you've arrived, because it will keep you up all night because it's your system's trying to break it down. So it is a fantastic option. But then we kind of move on to what we kind of call a morning fuel. Now, the morning fuel, we kind of call it that because it kind of fits nicely into the system when we're describing it like this. However, it's incredibly versatile. The morning fuel can be used any time of the day in lots of different scenarios, and I'll talk about that. But the product itself, if you imagine a big bowl of gluten-free oats, we make it gluten-free, so it's less, it's basically easier on the stomach without the gluten in there. We've basically whizzed it up, so we've powdered it up. So you've now got this big bowl of oats that you've been powdered up into this small 50-gram kind of package. And in there, we've got inulins, you've got your good gut bacteria, and then we also put a protein mix in there, and we also have flaxseed in there, and we have a small carbohydrate mix in there as well. And basically what that does is that you can mix it with hot water, cold water, hot milk, cold milk, incredibly versatile, and it can either be mixed into like a kind of a porridge type consistency or as a shake. And it's totally down to preference. Some folk love to drink it as a shake, a couple of 100 ml of water or milk. Other people, like myself, prefer to have it literally as a 6 or 7 spoonful kind of porridgey type paste. And it because it's powdered, it kind of goes into the system. It's very easy to absorb. It doesn't sit in your stomach, so you don't feel like you've got anything in your system. So obviously, when you've got an early start or you can't get up, like some races, especially abroad, kind of endurance ones, Ironmans, where it's something you might have to get up at 2 a.m. You don't even feel hungry, but you need something in your system. But it's very slow release, and it's also because of the protein content in there as well, and it's got a good carbohydrate mix in. But between the oats and the protein mix, it really slows down that sugar spike. So it's a really sustained energy release. And as an example of that, we were at an event last weekend. A guy came to see me who's a type 1 diabetic. My daughter's type 1 diabetic, so I understand blood sugars a lot. And he was basically saying, look, I have a real problem in the morning. Go out to train, my blood sugars, they just spike. Every time I go out, because I've got to have something before I go, and they either spike, and if I don't have something, they actually just drop through the floor. And as a type 1 diabetic, going through the floor is not good, because that's heading towards a diabetic coma. Or going really high is not good, because that's when you're kind of causing a lot of damage to your cells and your vital organs. So you've got to really try to keep your blood in range. Now, he basically had the morning fuel as an experiment. He didn't take any insulin, so he didn't inject for it. So he didn't try to counteract the carbohydrate content in there. And what he found was, and he also has a blood monitor, and he found it just steadily rose while he was out. It never spiked like a normal having some kind of carbohydrate would have. And then it just plateaued out. And then it just gently came back down into range. And he was absolutely shocked. And he came to see me about kind of 10:30, 11:15. And he said, the other thing is, I'm still not hungry. And it was a real relevant kind of revelation to him that there were products that he is very kind of sugar resistant can actually use while he's training. So for people doing events, you don't want to have somebody in the morning that gives you that massive sugar spike. Isn't great. You want something that's going to be a sustained energy release, and that's why we designed the morning fuel. But like I said, it can be taken anytime. For doing ultras, they'll use that at other time, like a kind of mid race. Like if they've got a drop bag after 12 hours or 10 hours, they'll actually have that as part of their fuel. We've known guys who are doing the spine race, multi-days, where there's no fixed time for sleeping. They will literally, apologies, didn't turn my phone off. They will literally use that as their fuel, because they're not massively burning through glycogen. They just need a slow, steady release. They'll actually using a combination of the morning fuel and the chocolate recovery. They won't even touch a fast-acting kind of energy drink or gel or whatever. So the morning fuel is great. You can also make stuff with it, make little pancakes and stuff. So that's a great little verse. That's the kind of second product in the range.
Yeah. So far I've put normally just some water with it, and it makes like a milkshake, but there's still some sort of phlegmy lumps in it, which is kind of like a nice sort of. So it's got some texture to it, even though it's kind of like milkshakey. And I made pancakes with it as well, so they were pretty nice. But then I also put like loads of other stuff in there as well, but it just kind of like added something extra in there, so that was nice.
Yeah, no, they're good. Well, we've got a recipe online for kind of making pancakes and stuff, and it's good. We've kind of used banana, coconut oil and stuff, and they're nice. So they're brilliant. They're really versatile. Then I think I'll mention the kind of bars. So we've got bars. I'll mention these because, again, these are another actually quite good breakfast sauce. They are very different to other bars that are out there. They're not a protein bar. They're not your typical flapjack. Again, we've made these. Everything I kind of make, I kind of make. Sorry, I'm getting hounded. I've not turned my phone off properly. Let's turn it off. You basically made it so that it is very easy on the stomach, and it's something that I can give my daughter, basically. So because she's type 1 diabetic, she's also got autoimmune issues, so she's celiac, but she does want to be active and do stuff. So we designed these so that they are gluten-free, they're dead easy on the stomach. They happen to be vegan, but we didn't necessarily deliberately go out just to create yet another vegan product. They just happen to be vegan with the ingredients that we use. But they're very energy dense. So we don't use butter, we don't use syrup. We basically have the base ingredients are flaxseed, because you've obviously got your omega-3s. You've also got protein in there if you combine it with another protein. So we've got buckwheat in there as well, and that makes a complete protein. Then we've got gluten-free oats, and then we've also got coconut oil, a bit of grape juice, bit of chicory syrup, a little bit of brown sugar, because that actually helps bind it all together. But they are very, very energy dense. So, for example, it's a little 80-gram bar. It's very compacted. But that bar's got kind of 360, 370 calories. If it's a little bit bigger, they can have 380 calories in there. So you don't need to have a lot of them, like a quarter at a time will actually keep you going for a long time, because you're actually getting the bulk of your energy is actually from the combination of the coconut oil, the flaxseed. You've got the fats from that help in burn. And because of those fats, you also find that they're very, very easy to eat. So even on the run, they're still, you don't need to, they don't turn into sawdust. They're not dead hard. They're kind of designed to have on the go, compared to something that's a kind of glorified snack bar with a few extras in there, kind of thing. So I would say that's a great breakfast alternative, again, because you can have that before an early morning training session. It's going to slow release, it's going to energize you, but you're not going to feel really hungry afterwards. It's a great one for long training sessions, again, when you're out, and it's a great one pre-race later on, kind of thing. So that's the bars. Then we've also got the energy drink. So again, the energy drink, we would kind of argue, is different to many drinks out there. Yes, we have a carbohydrate mix in there. Yes, we have your kind of electrolytes, your mineral mix in there as well. But what we also do is we make sure that we have a vitamin content in there. You need to have vitamins in an energy type drink, because actually to get the best function out of your muscles, you actually need certain vitamins to help with that energy process. And also on top of that, a lot of people, when they're training and they're starting to pick up their training, they're building towards an event, can be very susceptible to colds and things like that, because they're draining their system of vitamins, making their autoimmune systems low, which means they're very susceptible to any lurgies and illnesses that are flying around. So because of that, we essentially have a multivitamin in there to help offset those things as well. And we also have a little bit of kind of creatine in there, because that just helps with that firing the muscles up. So you're kind of getting your fast acting, your slow acting. There's also, because of that, there's amino acids in there as well. So, the Energy Fuel's a very rounded product. We don't put fructose in it. Fructose, there's a lot of stuff out there about fructose. You can have this magic combination that allows you to have 90 grams of carbohydrates an hour. The issue we have with that is that there's very few people that can get away with 90 grams of carbs an hour for a long time. And typically, when you do an event, you'll often have other things as well. So it's a very hard thing to keep on top of, especially if you're in a longer event where you're stopping at aid stations. And fructose, it needs a special process to get through your stomach. And if you start having a buildup of fructose, that's when you start having stomach issues. So we don't deliberately go down that kind of multi-carbohydrate transport route, although we do take advantage of it, because obviously the bars have got some fructose in it. It's got the apple juice, things like that. Our jellies, which I'll come on to, again, they've got some fructose in them because we use apple juice. So we do take advantage of the benefits of having that kind of multi-source of carbohydrate, but we don't push it to the limit, because we feel that can actually lead to more problems than results.
The energy drink is actually one that I hadn't really had before, especially the flavored ones. And found the tropical one is crazy. It's really powered me through some training sessions so far this year. So I've got a cross country ski friend who's he went to the Olympics, but he's sort of like quit now. And he was interested, so I gave him a sachet, and he tried it today for the first time and said it's the best session he's had for forever. So I think he mentioned something about reading it had some protein in or something in it. So
that's coming from, that's essentially, it's got some amino acids in there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, no, he was full on. So that was fun. And yeah, it's really proud. I've been doing these 10% treadmill intervals, mainly in zone 3, and like building up from about 30 minutes of work up to an hour and 10. And yeah, the first interval is always a bit meh, but once you get some of the drink in your system, you kind of raring.
Yeah, and I think the thing is for us, and again, I'll keep touching on this. For us, first and foremost, we have tried to produce products that have a balance of all the things that your actual body, your muscles, your brain, all the things need to make it feel better. So you're making your muscles feel better by you putting back in them what they want. Because you're doing that, you're also helping to feed your brain. So you're feeling good about what you're doing. So you can kind of train harder, train longer, perform better. And also, but because the flavors are nice, they're kind of subtle, they're not overly strong, you kind of look forward to having them. So again, that encourages you to feel better. And if you feel better, you recover quicker. And because you recover quicker, you're feeling better because you get back to training sooner. So to us, it's like a complete process. Do you know what I mean? I think products that are there just to give you a massive energy boost or to give you a massive caffeine hit or anything like that, absolutely, they can give you those things, but they could also actually help deplete the system when they run out. And because of that, you get muscle stress. Because of that, you get exhaustion. Because of that, you feel shit the next day. And actually, we do this because we enjoy it. Whatever level we're doing it at, we should be enjoying it. It might be hard, but we should be enjoying the process. And that's what we try to kind of do with the products. So the next thing is the recovery fuels. So again, same approach to recovery fuel. Well, people will look, and I see it at events, they'll pick it up and they'll look at the back and they'll, it doesn't have 20 grams of protein in. And you're like, well, what we're not trying to make you a bodybuilder. What we're trying to do is ensure that you've got lean, strong muscle that is resynthesized, that's recovered, that's going to help you run again later today or tomorrow. So again, the balance, the kind of the matrix of protein, of carbohydrate, of vitamins that we put into that recovery fuel is for an active athlete. It's not for a gym bunny. It's not for somebody wanting to build big muscles. It's for somebody who actually wants to have functional activity and actually make sure that what they're having is actually going to aid that recovery process and not necessarily add extra water through fillers and all those kind of things that you often find within a recovery product. So pretty much that is the system. That's kind of all the components of it. And like you've said, you've kind of used different elements of it the past couple of years in races. You've kind of used more of it now within that as far as the whole system in your kind of training, but you've never kind of had the opportunity to use it properly as a system day on day, as you will when we kind of build up towards the multi-day event that you've got kind of coming up, which is going to be really, I'm really looking forward to that because it's a new thing for you, and it'd be, it's really, this is what I love talking and helping folk work out a strategy and then building on it. So there you go. That's the product overview.
Sounds good, but more on the gels though, I reckon.
Oh, I forgot. How could I forget the jellies?
Right, you touched on them. So
I touched on them.
But, yeah.
Oh, see, right. Well, to me, the jellies are the biggest step forward that I think that we made. We've never wanted to make a gel. A gel is a syrup. All gels out there, pretty much. There's only, other than obviously your so-called natural gels, there's only one other similar kind of jelly, describe it to us. And it kind of took us 2 years to make. And the reason why we made it is that because a typical gel is a syrup, even when they're kind of adding loads of water to it, it still has similar issues in your stomach, because what happens is it passes, because it's syrup, it passes very quickly through your stomach. And when it hits your intestines, you're getting this massive surge, this kind of spike of sugar. And what happens to actually get it through the intestinal wall, it needs to draw water from your organs, from your working muscles, from your system. And if it can't, that's when people have those feelings of thirst, of an energy dip, of an upset stomach. And, unless they're trying to drink lots of water, which you can't do, it kind of can put you on a roller coaster, which often ends in upset stomachs and issues. So we kind of spent 2 years trying to come up with something a bit different. And it was actually from kind of the medical world. So within the medical world, they use pectin, and pectin can be used for dealing with things like acid reflux. And you can basically create like a hydrogel using a pectin. So we basically created a kind of hydrogel using the pectins, because it basically draws in the fluid, it draws in the carbohydrate, and it draws in the mineral, so the electrolyte. And because of that, it's encapsulated. And the pectin, basically, it means that it helps slow it down through your stomach. So it's going down slower through your stomach. So when it goes into the intestinal wall, because it's all encapsulated, it also helps with that process of getting through your intestines. So you don't, because it's hydrated. So you don't need to be drawing additional fluid. So even when it's hot, you can still have the jellies without having to have lots of different water. You can have, you can literally just have the jellies and not worry about GI issues that you would get with having a typical gel. So to me, the jellies, they're our baby. We love them. And yeah, I think they're a massive thing that can really, really help folk, particularly folk. We've got guys who've got Crohn's, various different IBD related diseases, so stomach issues, who can now enjoy racing again using the jellies. So, I love it that you're using our products, and, but it's also those guys, because I see it with my daughter, with the issues that she has with, celiac and diabetes, seeing folk who've struggled before, seeing them actually be able to do what they love doing without the associated stomach issues, it is just fantastic. So yeah, that's the jellies.
Yeah, I think the jellies is what I use first from Mountain Fuel, and I guess that's kind of like what got me into it. And that's, I guess, when you're racing, that's sort of like the main product you're looking for to really give you that boost and added performance, but still not have any detrimental side effects.
So thanks for listening. Please like and share, and if you like what you heard, head over to mountainfuel.co.uk, get yourself a taster pack, and the next video will be talking to Jon about his training, how he feels in training, and also his sky running, obstacle course races, and also the 8-day Uria Trail race that he's got coming up in July. So we'll speak to you soon.